Good afternoon for joining us from Jasper's side of the world, or good morning if you're like me, more to the west. Thank you for joining us once again for our bi-weekly effort to keep you updated on everything that's happening in the dairy market, the Dairy Café. We're missing one of our own, our Jasper's trusty sidekick, Seb. Seb is at the Eucole conference. You
Yeah.
could name Jasper. What's up?
I'm about to become a father, so I had a discussion on whether I was able to join, but no chance this time. I'll be there next time.
Well, I can't imagine preferring starting a family over joining Eucole, but
I, I think it's a
to
wise.
each their own.
I'm happy. I'm very happy to not join this time.
But I have heard that you are being well informed both by Seb and Leonard and Alex who are there, but also by a lot of the attendees. What is
Yeah.
the consensus? What are you hearing from there?
Well, the latest thing is that the sentiment is turning a little bit more bearish hour by hour. I also heard that Peroni is actually quite nice beer. So it's like there's a lot of things we hear from Let's Ease at the moment. But regarding the dairy markets, we definitely see more weakness on butter, a little bit more weakness on milk powder, and yeah, an overall atmosphere that's not necessarily turning any more bullish.
As we know from these events that whenever the industry meets, that it can be an amplification of an amount of sentiment that's already going around, or at least an alignment of everybody being able to fact check. Hey, do you also feel this? Do you think that Eucole will have an effect on markets?
I think so, yes. I don't think that this is something new because I believe that everything that we're seeing right now is indeed an amplification or like an extension of what we've already been seeing. It's not like after a Friday afternoon, we suddenly will see butter prices closing on 3,000 euros in the European market. It won't be that bad, but I think it will definitely be a reiteration of a lot of facts that are, well, to be very straightforward about it, primarily bearish. Yes, there are some things that point in different directions. We're starting to see more and more spreads or different opinions in the market. But overall, yeah, I would definitely say that this could be one of those events.
Okay, well, good to note, and we'll keep a close eye. I think the last time the dairy industry met was at ADPI in Chicago in April. That led not to a bearish sentiment, but that at least surfaced the already very bullish sentiment on 80. I think if you scroll back to that time, I think it's right around that time. I think it was already rising rapidly, but it didn't stop. It didn't stop and it kept moving on. For today, I think we have we're going to go across the dairy complex from proteins to fats. We'll cover cheeses, but I think the skim milk powder non-fat is a good one to zoom in as well.
Yep.
I think you want to show us a bit of supply and demand, some futures, maybe what's happening on the production side.
Yep. I think you've covered all of it. It's plenty to talk about, so I better get going. But indeed, rather an overall dairy update this time.
Nice. And last week, you were very happy with a lot of questions from the audience.
Yeah.
Are you open to those again today in the chat?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
So bring them on. I hope to answer them immediately, and otherwise we'll follow up later through our different channels.
Sounds good.
Starting with S&P, I believe you've definitely highlighted one of the more interesting markets in the last couple of weeks. Of course, if we zoom out to price levels over the past few months, we've definitely seen that the differences between those have risen to historical highs. US S&P has actually risen to historical highs on the CME spot call. In this case, we're looking at the S&P benchmark that we have for the US market. We are seeing that those prices have come off from its recent highs. We knew that they wouldn't increase forever, and this time, and I think it's actually nice to both transform these into US dollar per metric ton, just to make sure that everything is comparable. And also, I've added the average line for Europe. In this case, I will remove it just so I can also add it for the US later on. We see that US prices definitely dropped from just below 5,000 to, roughly 4,600. So they dropped for $400 a ton. Still way above the rest, over $1,000 a ton. Over difference is massive, and it's something that, if we zoom back or zoom out, we haven't seen before. I won't jump to the conclusion, but we do anticipate the spread to stay higher. However, $1,000 spread or $1,000 per ton spread is still way too large, and that's going to narrow. But interestingly, we do see both Oceania and European S&P falling, which is it's not completely unexpected. But we knew that the tightness in the U.S. market was much of the reason why they went up. But now that the U.S. is falling, we wouldn't really immediately expect that the European and Oceanian market would fall at the same rate, but they are. And it's of course there is some spillover from one market into the other, but still, if you're a European exporter and you're able to offer your product $1,400 a ton cheaper to the same destinations, you would say that you're not necessarily needed to lower your prices. But I think that's kind of the global market element to it. You don't really expect it from that side. But if we purely look at Europe itself, we see that spot pressure starts to build. It's not just for skim milk powder; it's also for other cheeses, butter, even AMF. The spot pressure that's building is really what's pushing down prices, even for S&P in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, and if we look at non-fat on the CME call, we've seen it, of course, as you said, we've seen it come down. I think a similar trajectory. But if we look at, I don't know if you call this a bounce, if we call this a plateau, if we call this, I think there's a lot of words I've read in different articles around. But this is at crazily high levels still, right? What is happening here? Can you explain or describe or give your interpretation on this bounce?
The bounce is a slightly trickier one. We've mentioned about how this price ended up at the $2.25 per pound level. That it fell is really due to the fact that many people started going short, taking short positions, selling at these higher levels, hoping to buy it back at later moments. And I believe that's part of the reason why it's now bouncing. If you've been able to sell around $2.27 and have been able to buy it back around $2.05, it really earns. And then even $2.14 is still a price where you're happily taking 5 and sometimes even 10% profit on going short on these higher levels. So that's one part of why sometimes we see a bounce in certain markets, whether a technical or a financial reason. But at the same time, I believe it's also worth mentioning that the shortage of non-fat dry milk isn't necessarily over. We've had plenty different things that have come up to the news recently. Product recalls. We have screwworm that's now moving into Texas, or these have been found in Texas. So there's a lot of reasons why we definitely don't see non-fat holding at $2.25 for a long period of time. But why $2 definitely feels like a more okay price, even though it's still far elevated compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah, so there's just demand coming back to the market, even at what we would say levels. I think 70 cents above the 3-year average.
Yep, absolutely. Not something I would.
Because the margin's there.
Correct.
Clear. On to butter.
Yeah, great. I think butter has definitely also shown a very similar phase. We're still looking at S&P, but now we're looking at butter. In butter markets, we still have the US as by far the cheapest origin, Oceania as the most expensive origin, and then there's Europe hovering in between. We've seen an interesting rise in Oceanian butterfat and also a small rise in US butterfat. We do see that in the case of US, the low prices trigger exports. And in the case of Oceania, now that they're at the end of their milk season, some people who really want Oceanian milk fat will have to pay up. And that's why we see both of those prices increase. In the case of Europe, and for this, I'll actually transfer everything back to euros. We definitely see that the market has been holding around similar levels for a while now. If we zoom back to the last 6 months, and in this case, I'll actually only look at Europe. If we really look on the price, or should we look at the price change over the past months, it started the year just below 4,000, had a brief rise up, and since then it's been kind of flat and going down slightly every week. But something that we saw in recent weeks is definitely that forward prices have started to change. So even though the spot market feels quite heavy, there's plenty of production, stocks are good, and Europe is also in need to sell quite a lot of butter. We know that the forward markets, and in this case, I'll use the futures for that, for butter have also started to change. So if we look at, for example, the futures for EX butter for June, we haven't really seen a lot of movement in the last few weeks. So it's really rather been stable, because people don't really believe that June butter or the spot butter should fall really, really far below the levels that we currently do. But the thing was, we believe that it might get worse in October, or as in prices would be higher in October because we would have less product. And over the past few weeks, that belief is starting to fade a little bit, because the stock levels, and we see that above, are rising. And at the moment, they've been rising into the start of the year. And throughout the milk flush, they're expected to rise even further. People think, okay, you know what? I think this situation isn't really going to materially change between now and October. And therefore, these prices are starting to fall. Rather than €4.56, we're now looking at €4.30 for October butter. Everything also forward is really starting to fall.
Okay. I think we got a great question about this, and I assume it's about butter. And I love the question, but if I look at, so are we on our way to €3,500 per ton? I assume we're looking at spot then. Discerning from your answer, I don't get the feeling that you believe that there is, well, it's a €300 drop, so another 10% off, more or less, on butter. Yep. I think you're, well, quite happy to say it will plateau around this level, or do you think 3.5 is on the cards?
I think 3.5 is on the cards, but I don't believe it's going to go there in the short term. There's so many different things at play at the moment, but I think the interest currently to lock in butter, either to buy forward, and let's say I need butter for Q4, I just buy it now because it's relatively cheap, or buy butter on spot markets for €3.80 or even less, and store it, hold on to it, put it in your warehouse, and use it later in the year. You might have some storage costs, yes, but even if you bridge it into next year, you only have butter at €4.10, €4.20. Like, the interest to buy at these lower levels has really risen. The only thing is, you can't keep buying more and more forward forever. We have seen plenty of numbers about consumption, about many types of demand. It hasn't necessarily been up that much. So it's not like these lower butter prices are now triggering a hell lot of demand. We primarily see that more and more buyers have been locking that in. They have been, at least if we look at the last 3 years, when prices were at 7, they were very, very upset about this. They paid a lot. They were scared of not having any, so they're willing to move into very, very high price level, very high prices for butter just to have it. And now it seems like the prices are much, much lower. They're happily anticipating on this. And even sub 4 butter is relatively cheap butter if we look at it historically. So plateauing at the current levels, it's difficult. The fundamentals are there. The stocks are there. The production is there. If you look at cream, for example, at 4,000, this could lead to butter around €3.5. So we definitely have the ingredients. But I think demand, and especially forward, is good enough to keep prices slightly above.
Okay, well, let's see if that materializes then. We have 2 questions, and one is from the audience and one is from me. The ones from the audience are usually better, so let's start with that one. And that is, do you have current stock level information for butter? And this is, I think, where we go for more the connection you have with the market, the people you speak to. Yep. As the official numbers will still not be in or be current. So, but the question also has I read and hear that warehouses are full. What is your read on this?
Yeah, so warehouses are absolutely full, but there's different types of warehouses. I think the public ones, or the ones that you can buy storage, are generally full. We now actually see that some buyers who have some option for storage are also starting to fill that up. On the sell side, there's a few differences. So we definitely hear that some producers have stored a lot and don't really see a strong incentive to sell at around current price levels, so they'll rather store it. So that means that producers are storing, traders are storing, and buyers are storing. But we also hear some producers who don't have too much stock on hand. They'd rather just sell it. They don't really anticipate on this market really improving really, really quickly, so they try to sell. And I think that's fair. Look at the data. Of course, the latest values are for Feb, but we know that seasonally, and I'll use previous years, Feb is roughly the lowest point. It's only going to go up from there. And around June, July is generally the peak. So we will have 2, 3, 4 months of stock building still, which likely means that we'll end way above 200,000 tons of stock, which is far above what we've seen in recent years. So what we hear qualitatively and what we can deduct quantitatively using the supply and demand table or supply and demand graph, it aligns. There's a lot of butter on stock.
Yeah. And so if you want to keep updated about this beyond the official reporting, of course, the best thing is probably to read your market reports, right? About butter. This is where you'll comment on this type of stuff. What's happening, what you hear from the market. Okay, that's great. My question was around what are we, because we, of course, we have the marketplace. We're very happy with that. We're missing Seb. Usually he's our as head of our marketplace. He tells us what's been happening there. Have you been seeing any deals on the marketplace, any activity that you think is interesting on the butter side?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we or the point I was trying to make on butter, we have been seeing more and more trades for both spot butter at really low prices. So we saw I think €3.78, €3.75 was traded on the marketplace. But for forward, we also see that the prices have been lowering. If you wanted Q1 butter a few months ago, you would have paid €4.50. If you want Q1 butter today, I believe you're going to be looking at prices closer to €4.20, if not lower. So we definitely see that those live trades from the marketplace itself generally give a great indication of what the butter market's doing. Forward prices are falling, and they're far below what futures are currently trading at for these moments. So it's really showing that the physical market is actually currently a lot weaker than some futures are, which is quite an interesting thing to track.
I've put a banner on your screen if you would like to learn a bit more about the marketplace. This is where Vesper facilitates trade between its own users, where they can buy and sell from each other. Vesper not being, of course, a party in it. We're totally independent. You can just click yes, and Seb will be in touch with you over the coming weeks. Let's take one more question about butter that came in, and or at least about European butter. And then transition away either from the product or from the continent, because me and my American friends are also craving some attention. And the question is, and I will put it, I will not put it on screen, but we last saw these lower butter prices back in 2021. Are there similarities in the market between now and then? And are there any differences? The market seems cyclical and at some point likely to turn. When do you anticipate this may happen?
That's I think 3 different questions in one. Yes, if we zoom back out, we definitely saw the last time we saw these price levels was around 2021. So for zooming at 2023, it was around 2021. We all know dairy markets are cyclical, and we definitely see a lot of similarities. Milk production is good. Milk prices have been high. They've been coming down, but they're still generous enough to create an incentive to keep farming. There's a lot of things that are currently definitely favoring milk production, but I think some of the differences currently are primarily around the we're a bit in overtime, to call it somewhat of a US term. We know that structurally milk production should be declining in Western Europe, and in recent months, basically the recent 6 to 9 months, we have a massive surplus. That 6, 7, 8% surplus in milk. We know that that's not going to stick around. We have to reduce our herd size. We have to do sustainability regulations, or we have to lower emissions. Energy prices are shooting up. So there's a lot of things that are kind of against long-term dairy farming in many Western European countries. So we know that supply pool is shrinking, but because the incentive was there financially, we decided to push as much as possible. I think something that really confirms that, and I always love to use it as an example, is the Netherlands. We know that we all have to lower our herd size by quite a significant amount. But if we look at how dairy production was behind at the start of 2025 and then suddenly was up, in this case, 7.9% into October 2025, that's not comparable to anything before. Even 2021, we didn't see the sharp changes like this. So What we're seeing right now is cyclical, definitely comparable to what we saw in 2021 regarding some of the incentives. Milk price is good, weather has been favorable. We've come down from high commodity price, so the milk price was generous. But we all know that this is cyclical. This is temporary. We're in overtime, and we know that this milk output will shrink, and that will impact butter. It will impact cheese. It will impact milk powder. It will impact whey. It's more of a general movement.
Yeah.
So it's a very long answer. I hope I highlighted on all the individual pieces, but there's definitely one day that this will turn, but I don't think it will be in the coming few months.
And since we avoided the Hanta virus, I think the difference is still we're not in a global pandemic, contrary to 2021, locking everybody in their home and baking a lot of buttery goods.
Absolutely.
So I would assume demand is also slightly lower.
So the demand is definitely lower, and there's other things. China has been producing a lot more milk themselves. Like there's a lot of things that have changed since then, but we don't have enough in the 9 minutes remaining. Their markets are absolutely cyclical, and we're currently in overtime, but that doesn't mean that we're going to go up tomorrow. I really think that that's more of a long-term thing.
Sounds clear. What's next?
I believe I do still want to touch whey and cheese. Whey, I'll try to do in 1 minute because we are seeing the same thing for another week. High shortages, still buyers on the lookout for products. Suppliers are either sold out or are asking for insanely high prices. WPC, €27.5 per kilo or 27,500 euro per ton. The US also keeps increasing, and even after the recent, I would say, couple of weeks where it's rather more stable, we now see that those prices are also moving up. So we haven't seen the end of this, and I don't believe there's anything in sight that will really turn this market around.
Is this growing spread, is this currency, or are we looking at a
We're looking
real
at
change?
in Europe per metric tons, but definitely the currency changes by the US market has been slightly different. If we look at both of these in US dollars, we see that the US market in blue does move a bit more with steps rather than a smooth line like Europe. But even in dollar sakes, it has been increasing for what is it? Almost a year already. I think it started late August last year, so we're almost at 12 months of consecutive increases.
Yeah. Cheese or milk proteins?
I wanted to touch upon cheese still, because cheese is quite an interesting market. In recent couple of weeks, we have seen that the price level went up slowly, and I'm looking at mozzarella particularly because we have a good comparison between EU and US mozzarella. The thing is, US has a lot of cheese to sell, but so does the EU. And we've currently seen in the last couple of weeks that both markets are kind of interestingly stable, or sometimes even slightly tighter when all of the domestic buyers come in to buy. But when those buyers are absent, then both of these markets start to fall. Then it becomes clear that they're both much more export dependent than they were in previous years. And that they have to compete with each other. So that's why you see that, especially for mozzarella, which is roughly kind of similar in product specs, of course, between Europe and the US. Of course, there's difference in brands, I know that, but these cheeses are somewhat comparable, unlike, for example, Emmental, that you don't really sell in the US. Why these prices have always been interchanging regarding who is more expensive. And in recent months and years, definitely US has been. But we also see that Europe is struggling a little with these higher prices. Mozzarella is far more expensive than Gouda, far more expensive than cheddar, even more expensive than Emmental. And that's basically starting to lower demand. And in cheese markets nowadays is one thing that we really see. If demand's gone, prices are starting to feel very, very weak very soon.
It feels like a little bit of the battle of the byproduct, and byproduct is a bad phrase, and I've been corrected on that recently, which I think is very fair. That we want more whey, so there's an incentive, and there's great whey prices, and there were great butter prices, but the incentives seem to be working. So there's a margin to be made for a farmer, so there's more milk coming in, and then there's products that have incredible prices.
Yep.
but they also lead to issues on at least the second product in that production process. If we look at the non-fats, what happened there?
Yep.
Yeah, continuous butter production was nice, but non-fat was not interesting.
Yep.
I think at this moment, whey is of course very interesting, but all that extra milk going into there, yeah, what does happen? What happens to cheese markets? And I think that's also with a slight decoupling maybe between these products. It's also it looks like quite a different game. Where with milk production or with butter, we see okay, it's cyclical and we've seen things before, but there's
Yep.
also new patterns that we haven't seen before, I believe here.
No, indeed, and you're definitely highlighting an interesting part. Is most of the product capacity expansions over the recent years have been either on whey or on cheese, and of course we have fresh cream. We have certain other protein products that have come in, but they haven't really been on classic commodity milk powder or classic commodity butter. Those are definitely things that are being I wouldn't say replaced, but people rather produce a new type of cheese or an interesting type of cheese with a good quality whey, and hope to make a lot of money out of that. And that comes at the expense of things like milk powder. That's why some originally export destinations like China, for example, start to produce more themselves. They say, well, you know what, we wanted to be more self sufficient, and to do that, we start with milk powders. And I believe somewhere down the road they will also move into cheese and whey. They're not doing it currently, but that's definitely where anyone with a kind of who wants to make progress, who wants to make more nutritional and high value products, they go into cheese and whey.
And so we're still seeing a market that is fundamentally rational, only
Yep.
showing new behaviors just due to the demand shifts,
Yep.
and now tracking along.
Exactly. And then the thing with cheese, of course, adding on top is with butter, you might have the luck to freeze it, store it for quite a long period of time. In the case of cheese, that's very, very difficult. So that's why we definitely see these sharp changes in certain cheese markets that we don't always see in things like butter or AMF.
Clear.
I wanted to highlight MPC quickly because we have definitely seen that there's a big overlap in what happened to MPC markets and what happened to WPC markets. Reformulation is definitely key. We see a lot of additional demand come into milk proteins as a replacement for either WPC as a whole or for a small section of the product that used to be sold as WPC. So there's this market is definitely feeling much more tight, and it's caseinates, it's MPCs, it's some caseins even. It all helps, and it all pushes these prices up. Hopefully, this by reformulation helps to keep consumer prices slightly lower. But I hope that for myself. But I believe for many people buying proteins that previously were happy with the relatively low prices for MPC because they didn't need to buy whey, now are also forced to pay 30 to 40% higher prices, and this also hasn't been the end.
But which I'm almost afraid to say, looking at the chart before us, but this is still a relatively cheap protein on the dairy side.
Absolutely, yep.
So there's still a lot of interest going into here.
Yeah, no, there is. And I think there's a couple of things at play here, and the combination of milk protein and whey protein has definitely been great from a nutritional aspect. And also for many people who've been selling whey protein previously, you can still call it whey protein if there's a marginal element of milk protein concentrate in it, but the majority will still have to be whey. So like, yes, we believe that people will play with formulation, play with changing out product or swapping out product for things like MPC, but there's also a limit to it. And yeah, it's kind of a new territory for this, so we don't really know how this will play out exactly, but we definitely feel like there's more to this, and well, as I mentioned, for MPC, this is going to continue to grow.
Okay, well, great. I think we found out why sometimes we struggle to stay within the 30 minutes, and the answer is Seb. Without Seb, we do a great job to cover the entire dairy market in the limited amount of time we have. I want to thank you once again for joining us to a new episode. We hope to have Seb back as soon as possible. Of course, we miss him. Jasper, we want to wish you a great time on paternity leave, and we expect not to see you here next time. But how we will fill it, we'll get some great speakers with some sensible minds, more sensible than Seb and mine, onto the show to join us. To walk you through the dairy market. So we hope to see you back in 2 weeks' time, which will be on a Tuesday, but you will receive more information about that through email. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Ciao. Thanks, everyone.